Hello and welcome to the Casual Cinecast, powered by Cinelinx. My name is Chris.
And my name is Justin.
And my name is Mike. In today's episode, we'll be going over The Blob, directed by Irvin S. Yeaworth Jr., spine number 91.
So if you want to send us your questions on the films that we're watching next and stay up to date with our next Criterion, help pick our next Criterion film, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also email your questions to casualcinemedia@gmail.com. And as always, if you like the show, don't forget to go to iTunes, subscribe to us, give us a 5-star review. Let us know what you think of the show.
And also, stay tuned at the end of the review. We will be discussing which Casually Criterion episode we will tackle next.
Mystery.
Yeah, that's exciting. I always like that part.
Yeah, so stick around to hear what our picks are. Then you can go online and vote in our poll on Twitter.
Yes.
It should be fun.
It will be.
We won't give you a sticker like the U.S. government does, but we will give you an internet high five.
Sidebar, I got my sticker today. I voted.
Did you?
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
I got my sticker yesterday, and I asked for an extra one, and they gave me 2 extra ones, so I got 3 stickers. I don't know what that means.
What?
You should confuse people and just wear all 3 of them at once.
Yeah, and then just I voted 3 times.
Yeah. I confuse those people who think that there's like voter fraud conspiracy and just
Well, you're proving.
Yeah, please don't
true.
feel that right now.
Yeah, no. That's
Yeah.
I don't want to open that box any more than it's already open.
I'll tell you what I do want to do, though.
What do you want to do?
I want to discuss the Criterion Release Announcements for January 2018. What do you guys think?
I want to do the same thing, so that's awesome.
I also want to do that.
Wow. Neat.
We should start a podcast, guys.
I agree. And we should also move on now.
Okay, so first up in January, on January 8th, we have a film called 24 Frames from Abbas Kiarostami. That's my best guess at that pronunciation. Then
That's how I would have done it. I approve.
Yeah, and if we both think it, it's probably right.
Or we're both very wrong.
Kiarostami is right, though. It is correct.
Oh.
He did Certified Copy, and I remember when he made that, I heard that name a lot.
That's the part I was the least sure about, so that's good.
There we go. So next in January 15th, we have Notorious from Alfred Hitchcock. And then
Are you sure you're saying that right? Hitchcock, really?
Alfred Hitchcock?
Yeah.
Perfect. You nailed it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, sorry.
So, next up, we have 2 films coming out on January 22nd. The first is Mikey and Nikki from Elaine May. And then 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days from Christian Mungiu. And then lastly, on January 29th, we have In the Heat of the Night by Norman Jewison.
Nice. That's a strong month.
Super
Really?
strong.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if they do that, intentionally because it's, the first month of a new year.
Yeah. Start off strong.
You know
so, what?
I called it January 2018th. Just want to clarify. This is January 2019. We are not repeating this year.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, yeah.
It's mistake fixed.
Yeah. Woo. No need to let us know Justin's mistake. He already caught himself. Anyways, so I have seen 2 of these. I've seen Notorious, and I have seen In the Heat of the Night.
Nice. I've seen 3. I've seen those 2 and 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days.
That one's always been a thorn in my side since our old Blockbuster days. I remember when that movie came out, and everyone was talking about how good it was, and I never watched it. And now I regret that.
Yeah. It's dark and not very fun. It's kind of depressing, you know?
Yeah, no, I remember what it was about to this day. And it doesn't sound happy.
Yeah, the subject material does not lend itself to fun, I don't think. It's a rough-brewing comedy.
Nope. But we did, we covered Notorious recently. If you haven't heard that episode, what was that, a month ago? 2 months ago.
Yeah, just about.
Notorious.
And it's a good episode, if I do say so myself.
I liked it.
And
I
a
had
good
fun with
movie.
it.
So
Great.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
a fantastic movie. So if anyone listening, if you are not excited about Notorious, watch it. And
Get
then you
there
will be.
if you're not.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong.
I have a question for you guys. are you guys familiar with Kiarostami at all? Like Certified Copy or 24 Frames or any of his films?
Certified Copy, yeah.
Yeah. Is it good? I haven't ever seen it. I'm interested to do that, but I haven't ever seen it.
Yeah, no, Certified Copy is really good. I did not realize that was the same guy. That's exciting. I know someone mentioned that earlier, but it just blew right over my head.
Right.
No, Certified Copy is great. Juliette Binoche, and I don't remember who the man playing her opposite in that movie is, but it's really good. Like these two people, they spend the whole movie like arguing or like talking, and like they're talking around each other, and like the whole movie, you're trying to figure out what is their relationship to one another. Are they strangers? Do they have a history? Are they playing like roles to each other? Like it's very strange, but it's very compelling, and that's all I'll say. But yeah, no, Certified Copy is wonderful, and since you said that, that makes me actually really excited for whatever 24 Frames is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what piqued my interest.
Yeah. Have you guys read up on 24 Frames at all?
No.
So I did a little bit of reading up on it when I saw the announcement, but it's from 2017, so it's relatively new, and I believe Kiarostami died recently, and I think he died before the film was finished. And from what I read, I think like his son came in and helped finish the film after he died. But what the film is he selected 24 still images, like photographs, and then he animated them, I think, in some sort of way. I don't know how much or whatever, but he animated them, and I think each one is animated, for however long. I think like the movie, looking on Criterion, it's like almost 2 hours. So each frame is animated for however long fills up the movie, right? And it's just those like still images animated. So it's kind of an art film from what I'm understanding.
Yeah, I'd heard that it was experimental.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, which sounds really weird. Like I don't know if that's kind of like, I guess what I'm envisioning in my head is a bit like the opening credits to Melancholia, where like things are like slightly moving. I'm not sure if it's more animated than that or if it's going to be. I have no idea. I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, that's interesting. Have either of you guys seen In the Heat of the Night?
Yes, a long time ago, but I've seen it.
I have not seen it.
It's good. Sidney Poitier or Portier. How do you say his last name?
Poitier.
Portier.
I don't know. Let's talk about Rod Steiger because I can pronounce his last name.
Yeah, nice and pronounceable.
But yeah, from what I remember, everybody's really good in this. I was a little skeptical when I watched the movie the first time because I grew up living with my grandparents for most of my life, and they watched the TV show In the Heat of the Night.
Oh, my mom watched that, and it sucked. It was such a bad show.
Yeah, I remember not liking it as a kid. Of course, there's a lot of...
true. I was also a child, so it may be a really awesome show, but I remember that music.
Right. There's a lot of things that my grandparents watched as a kid that like I've since watched now, and I realize they're a lot better than I thought they were when I was young. And that show may be one of them, but when it came time to watch like the film In the Heat of the Night, I remember the show, and I was like, oh, okay. I don't know about this. There we go. But quite good.
Yeah, it really is. It's awesome. So I'm excited to actually watch it again on Criterion. I remember when I was watching the special features to whatever DVD copy of In the Heat of the Night from a long time ago, I remember they were talking about how this movie was such a big deal because a black man gets slapped by a white man and then slaps him right back. And apparently that was like, whoa, back then.
That's crazy that was a thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. A man standing up for himself was controversial, but yeah, apparently that was like a huge deal.
Yeah, that's kind of the main thing I remember from the film is a lot of racial issues tackled and brought up and brought to, well, I guess like the people's at the time's attention. That's one of the important things about the film.
Yeah. So it's not exactly a happy movie, but it is a good one from what I remember.
And I guess the last one we haven't really talked about is Mikey and Nikki from Elaine May. Do you guys know anything about this one?
I do not.
Just a little bit I read. I know it's starring Peter Falk and Cassavetes, and I like both of those guys, so I'm very interested to watch it and to see it. Yeah,
it sounds kind of like almost like a Cassavetes film, but just directed by Elaine May. I'm not sure who she is. I don't know. I'm not sure that I've seen too many like female directed films from the 70s that I can think of. So this one interests me for that reason.
Yeah, there aren't many.
But yeah, they just real quick, Cassavetes and Falk, they play like two mobsters, so it's kind of like a crime film, but it seems like it's less focused on the crime and probably more character driven, and a bit more, like I said, like a Cassavetes film.
Yeah, that seems to be all he's interested in, basically.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So does anyone have anything else to say about any of these releases?
I am literally excited about every single one of them. Like Notorious, we just watched, so I'm excited because of that. But the other ones, the ones I haven't seen, I'm actually really interested and excited to watch. And the ones I have seen, it's been forever since I've seen them, so I am super excited to rewatch them. So it's not always the case that like every film out of a month's releases I'm interested in.
Yeah, it's a strong month, and I will also say this new cover for Notorious is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool.
I also like the Mikey and Nikki cover.
Yeah, that's one that, when I was first getting into Criterions, I was always obsessed with the cover art, and a lot of times I was blind buying Criterion films based purely on cover art. And I feel like Mikey and Nikki is one that I would have looked at and been pretty interested in. Maybe the actors' names up top I kind of wish weren't there, but I understand it's a selling point of the film.
Yeah, I remember those days of blind buying Criterion covers. That's how I bought the Night Porter.
That's how I bought Videodrome.
Yeah, that was a really cool cover.
Yeah, that case is amazing. And I don't remember who it was, but one of us bought Harakiri.
Yeah, I blind bought that one.
Harakiri's got a really badass cover.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so anyone got anything else before we move on into our creature feature review of the Blob?
Nope, I have nothing else, so let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and glides and slides across the floor, right through the door and all around the wall. A splotch, a blotch, be careful of the blob. Beware of the blob, it creeps and leaps and glides and slides across the floor, right through the door and all around the wall. A splotch, a blotch, be careful of the blob.
You should make the bumper the theme song.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. As soon as I heard that song, I was like, this needs to be the bumper.
It creeps and leaps and slides and glides under the door.
Across the floor. Across the floor.
Across the floor. Okay. I listened to it probably about 20 times because I had the DVD menu just sitting there, and like I still don't know the words. I don't know why. It just never stuck in my head.
Yeah, I like the horn.
Yeah. So good.
It's so fun. I like that theme song a lot, actually. That's what monster movies are really missing now.
Yeah. I think it's the one thing that could have taken Halloween last week to like a
Really,
11.
I think every major blockbuster movie should have an accompanying jingle, right?
Yeah.
Like Will Smith nailed it in the 90s.
Yeah,
Oh,
Venom
gosh.
did. It was from Eminem.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's an example, I guess, but that song's not anywhere near as good as The Blob.
What film would you like to hear like that jingle to the most off the top of your head? Like current film.
Ooh, from this year?
Modern, yeah, we'll show you this year, last year, something like that.
You know what I think would lend themselves very well to a theme song? The Mission Impossible movies.
They got kind of one for Mission Impossible 2 for Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, they should have kept up that trend.
Well, that's the way James Bond does it, right?
Right.
Each time they have a new one.
Why not lean into it?
But there's like the few exceptions, but James Bond mostly, it's like they're not like catchy hit songs.
I like The Blob better than most of the James Bond songs that I've heard.
Yeah.
I think Venom, like a song like The Blob, Venom could have used because it would just added to the crazy wackiness that is Venom.
Yeah. I think Lady Bird would have had a killer like jingle song.
3 billboards.
Yeah. Okay. We can talk about The Blob if you guys want.
Okay.
Okay, so before we get into The Blob, just wanted to let you guys know that we're just going to be spoiling the film from the get-go. Unlike our newer film reviews where we do a spoiler-free section, this one's been out since 1958, so, we're going to spoil it.
Yeah, so there it is. There's your alert. Okay, so The Blob, 1958, directed by Irvin S. Yeaworth Jr., starring Steve, although it should be Stephen McQueen, because that is how he is billed.
True.
And Annetta Korsat?
Good job.
Yeah, and composed by Burt Bacharach, which I'm finding out right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he composed like the score or if it was just mainly like the Blob song.
Yeah, that killer song.
Yeah.
Right. The thing that confuses me the most about Steve McQueen or Stephen McQueen's name is that his character's name is Steve. And so I'm just very confused about...
I think it was written for him. The director wanted him.
Oh, so they just put Steve in there?
Yeah, I guess so.
Interesting.
Anyway, the IMDb synopsis, guys, let me get through this. An alien life form consumes everything in its path as it grows and grows. Now that is a synopsis, guys.
God, it's a good one.
Yeah, it is good.
You give them 50 years, they're gonna get a good one.
I'm laughing. I sound like I'm joking, but it's good. Like,
not really. It's what else do you want?
60 years, actually, Chris.
Oh, yeah. My math is horrible.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Anyways, who wants to go first?
I can.
Do it.
So, The Blob I watched a long time ago when I was first getting into films, first discovering the Criterion Collection. I might have been in a phase where I was watching like Ed Wood type movies, like when I'd first discovered like Plan 9 from Outer Space. And then I watched it again in a film history class. So this is my third time to watch it. Surprisingly for me, I remember the film as being a whole lot campier than it ends up being by the end of the film. Like I had this vision in my head of like these Ed Wood Plan 9 type movies. And that's what I think The Blob's going to be every time I get ready to watch it. I think it's going to be like kind of bad, but I'm going to laugh at it or with it one way or the other, and just kind of like have a good time in that sense. But I really didn't find the film like that campy by the end of it. Like I actually was just kind of into it and enjoying it for like doing what it's doing. Like I wasn't enjoying it for the wrong reasons. Like I kind of can't help but like this film because at times it seems so genuine. And I think it seems like even for the time, pretty indie, pretty like low budget. And to me, it makes it really, really charming. We've talked about the title song a little bit. It's like so catchy. I think starting the film out that way just like sets me up to have such a good time with the film and be having a good time, not at the film's expense, which is, that's kind of an important thing for me because I just always think the film is like going to be, I think the film's going to be bad every time I go to watch it. And it just ends up not being like, even though some of the special effects are cheesy, I think just like the story, the acting, I think Steve McQueen is really great. He's a like leading man. He's like a star.
Yeah.
He's like a movie, you can tell he's a star, like watching this movie.
From the get-go.
Yeah. And he just carries it. And I really enjoy the film. Like, I think that's it. There's not like a whole lot to it. There's not a whole lot to like make me think about or leave me thinking about, but just like while watching it, I'm enjoying it, and I enjoy it in a genuine way and not like ironically. So yeah, that's where I come down on it.
So this is also my third time with The Blob, and I've always enjoyed it. But it's never been something I loved. It's certainly fun in that old creature feature B-movie kind of way. I agree with you that Steve McQueen probably helps this movie be more watchable than it probably otherwise would have been. Right? Like he is good at that like B-movie dialogue. He's very aware of what kind of movie he's in, and he sells it. The Blob itself amuses me. It's fun to look back at the special effects, right? They certainly don't hold up, but also, they don't not hold up. It looks better than, like you said, Plan 9 from Outer Space or something like that.
Mm-hmm. There's much worse out there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Anyways, I would say this is just an easy watch. It's well shot and staged. I mean, it's not a film I can imagine was ever really meant to be scary, but it's just a lot of fun. And that's kind of really all I'll say about it is not really a horror movie, but not really like you're not laughing at it the whole time, like you said, So that pretty much sums it up. Chris, what do you think?
Unlike you guys, I hadn't seen this before, and I was really excited to watch it. It's always fun to go back to these films, the goofy special effects films, and this film has a lot of goofy special effects that are fun. I liked watching Steve McQueen, like both of you guys have said. You watch him as in one of his first roles, and you can tell that he's where he's going. I like to do it with directors too, but actors, yeah, he's got it, and he's going to be be going places. Like he's heads and shoulders above all the other actors in this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He carries the movie.
Right. Really good. I do think it's fun to watch him. He was 28 when they shot this film, and he was playing like an 18-year-old, so he doesn't fit in with all the other actors that are young, but that kind of adds to the charm too. Yeah, so I mean, basically the same stuff that you guys said. It's fun to watch an old, goofy horror movie, special effects movie like this, to see where we came from, where special effects came from, just like when you go and watch Steve McQueen to see where he came from. I like to see where we were 60 years ago, you know, and where we're at now and how far we've come. I think that's really fun and interesting to do. But yeah, so it's a good, enjoyable movie. Easy watch. Short, like 80 minutes, so not hard to watch at all.
Easy breezy. I really enjoyed the look of the film. Like, something about these old, like, 50s colorized movies, you know? They have this very pastel color look where it almost just seems like, I don't know, like, the colors are just too rich, right? Like, Steve McQueen's eyes are so blue in every single shot of this movie, right? And, the skin is just so pastel colored for everyone, and, like, the reds really pop, and the blues. It just, I don't know. Movies just don't look like that. Like, it feels like the color is just so rich and fun.
Almost like a David Lean film, right?
Yeah. Just, I love the look of old color. Like, I don't know if this was Technicolor or what they were using. I know there's a few different companies that were developing different stages of colored film.
For me, like, it gives it an interesting colored look that doesn't feel overly processed. Like, you know, the colors are pretty rich and stuff if you go see a Marvel film, but there's something different about this. Something like those films look like they have like a deliberate look to them, and like there's something about this film's so like naturally stylized about the colors. It doesn't seem like they're going very far out of their way to get the look that they have, but the look that they have is really interesting and cool.
I really like the look of these like old 50s colored films for sure. It reminds me a lot of All That Heaven Allows.
Oh, right.
I just really enjoyed the look of that film. So that's all I wanted to say.
I think going off of that, like, there's something also very charming to me about the special effects, and particularly what stood out to me and I really enjoyed this time was like seeing all the miniature sets that they used to like make the blob look big.
Like the theater.
You know? Yeah, like the theater with the windows in the background, the blob coming through it, or the
marquee.
The marquee, the diner set and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was fun. The diner looked like just like a photograph that like a blob was next to.
Yeah. I'm always fascinated by miniatures and forced perspective, and there's a ton of films that do that a lot better than the blob does. Like, they're really apparent and obvious in the blob. You know, there's other filmmakers with like a miniature use that's apparent also. Like, I remember back when we covered The Lady Vanishes, that film opens up with like a shot that's on a miniature set, like miniature buildings, and it's real obvious there too. And even when it's obvious, I just like it.
I'm pretty sure these days with like HD quality and retouching films and stuff, it's always going to be obvious when there's miniatures. Even Black Narcissus, it's super obvious, but man, is it beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. I wanted to talk a little bit about the special effects. The blob itself, do you guys know how it was made?
Some kind of like a gelatin with
it was
I forget what they put inside of it.
Silicone and red dye. So very simple, right?
Easy.
Yeah.
I also read that they dyed it progressively more red as the film went along. As it was eating more people, it would turn redder and redder.
Ooh, dark.
Which does bring me up to something I want to talk about, and this is something I remember learning in cinema history class, was that a lot of these sci-fi monster films and stuff were usually metaphors for something going on in the world, like invasion,
like the Cold War.
Yeah, like the Cold War and the supposed threat of communism invading the world and taking over.
Yeah. Being invaded by some kind of other.
Yes. And I know that this was most apparent in things like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where like people's bodies actually get taken over, whereas this is just kind of like going on and eating people. But do you guys know of, or did you guys see any sort of metaphor or, parallel or anything like that you were catching during the film?
Oh, yeah. I definitely got it. So this is one of those, this is a common trope in 50s sci-fi, right? The idea of invasion and something coming into your society and trying to destroy your way of life. So, I was very aware of that. What about you, Chris?
I kind of had more fun. There's definitely that trope, but I wasn't necessarily thinking about that while I was watching it. I did read about the Cold War and the communism coming in, but I think one of the writers actually denied that. He's like, it's just a movie, is what he said. Something along those lines. But I don't know that it matters as long as it's what you take from it, right? So. Yeah.
Well, even if the blob itself doesn't have that, it's very common in 50s sci-fi.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly.
So even if the blob itself doesn't have it, the blob was likely inspired by something that was,
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's there, even if the writer himself is too dumb to see it.
Right. Yeah, and probably reading too much into it, but I see the blob as sort of this non-entity in a way. It's not really it doesn't speak. It doesn't have legs. It's just kind of this blob, and at least it's seemingly normal ways of hurting something and killing a creature don't have any effect on it, like electrocuting it or shooting it. I didn't know if the blob is sort of this metaphor for I don't know about specifically communism, but ideas. How do you destroy an idea, right? It's not something, you can't bomb it, you can't shoot it, you can't set it on fire, right? That's kind of where I was going with it, but I did also read the same thing.
So
So
in theory, in this scenario, the blob could be the Communist Party growing within the United States.
Yeah, and then I was also reading it, about them changing it progressively more red as it ate people, and I understand why they would do that from both a literal surface sense for the film, but also maybe it was
from a heavy-handed metaphor sense.
Yeah, thought about that too.
Right.
But, yeah. Like Chris said, I also read that it was denied, so it could just be trying to apply something to it that isn't there.
Well, it's that theory about My Neighbor Totoro.
What? I don't know this theory.
So sidebar. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is a anime from Studio Ghibli called My Neighbor Totoro, and there is a very, very dark explanation because apparently it was a lot of similarities to a very true crime that happened about some missing children that were abducted. The writers basically were like, no, that's not what My Neighbor Totoro is about, but if you read up on it, just Google My Neighbor Totoro dark theory explained or whatever, and there is so much there that whether the creators deny it or not, once you read it, you can't unread it. You know what I mean? You can't unthink it. So it's a part of your movie watching experience from now on.
Oh, I'm going to watch the movie one more time and then look up that theory.
I would, because my brother can't watch it anymore.
That's awful.
Yeah, it sucks. But no, I think it makes the movie better.
Oh, interesting.
This movie, too.
I kind of wanted to touch on what you said a little bit earlier, Justin, in your main thesis or whatever, that it feels very indie. And from a lot of the stuff I read, the production was very indie. It was some guy went to a church that was essentially making a bunch of religious films, and they had a religious-based studio, and so he convinced them, not unlike Plan 9 from Outer Space, Ed Wood convinced religious people to film and finance his films, but he convinced them to make The Blob and that they would be able to make more money and do more of their religious stuff, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
It was made for very little money as well, and it was a blockbuster. It made a ton of money when it was released.
Yeah, it even got a sequel in the 70s.
Mm-hmm. And then a remake, I think.
Yeah, the remake, I hear is pretty good. It looks pretty Cronenberg-y.
Yeah, that's a good way to go with it.
A lot like The Thing, which is not Cronenberg. That's John Carpenter, but you know what I mean.
I catch your meaning.
And I think they've been tossing around recently, I don't know how recent it was, but in the 2010s, of doing a remake of it as well. So, but I think those are always on the back burner.
There's always a million remakes that hopefully will never see the light of day.
How campy do you guys feel this movie is watching it? Because like I said earlier, it's campy, but it's not laugh at it campy for me. it has its moments, I guess, with the special effects, but like overall, like I just kind of get into the movie and enjoy it.
Yeah, there's a couple like minor characters I think that the acting is pretty campy.
Mm-hmm.
But it just seems like they were intentionally doing that more than it seems like bad acting to me. Like it just seems like we're in a B movie.
Yeah, my head goes to the cops. If I don't know if that's what you're referring to,
especially the main cop that like their buddy cop that like doesn't hate all 17-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
I love the paranoid cop that's like, man, they know what I went through in the war and they're just trying to get to me. You know, like he's
yeah.
so paranoid about these kids.
Yeah.
I know. And then like I think the one cop's like, because it's not a crime to be 17 years old. But you know what? That said, they're campy and like they're silly, like the cops and the acting and everything, but they still feel like characters, right? Every time their buddy shows up, you're always like, oh, it's the good cop. He's going to help them. You know, you're not like,
right.
Here comes this clown. Look at him try to act. You know what I mean? Like, you're not like that. You just kind of adapt. And it's just part of the genre, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of the cops, I don't know if this is just... I guess I want to say like a bad script or a bad editing choice, but do you know the scene where the guy is playing chess? Or the cop finds like the chess game in the drawer and he's like, what's this? And then after everyone leaves, we like hang out with that cop like a long time while he goes back to his like radio, pulls out his chess game, radios a person, and they go back and forth, and then you realize, oh, that's his chess game. Do you guys like pull anything from that? Because I felt like we stayed on that for so long. I was like, the rest of the movie I was watching out for like, what does that chess game mean? Like, where is that? How does that tie into everything else, either thematically or literally?
No, I have no idea why they included that. I guess just to explain to people how one guy could play a chess long distance. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't really necessarily pull much from it either. But I would be interested if you had a take on it.
I don't.
Yeah, I also didn't think about it too much either.
Yeah, I kind of just moved on.
I haven't stopped thinking about it, and I was really hoping that you guys would have something.
What does it mean?
Maybe it's to show us that our hero cop doesn't know how to play chess.
It's not one of the main two cops. It's like the third one who's always just at the station.
No, I'm talking about, but the main cop comes up to him, and he's like, I should learn how to play chess. And the guy's like, anytime. It just goes to show you our main cop's nice. And he wants to learn how to play chess, and he's open to it.
Yeah. But he's not a tactical genius.
No, but if he were real smart, he already would have known how to play.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. It still doesn't explain why we hang out with him so long later while he plays it.
No,
but,
it doesn't.
But that's fine. I don't know.
Did you guys enjoy the adults versus kids theme that was prevalent throughout this movie? And I assume that was like just a shameless ploy to market to kids at drive-ins. You know, the kids have to save the town from the clueless adults. They have to wake the town up. They have to try to convince the adults to believe them.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching films like that from the 90s and stuff, you know, like...
Yeah, it feels like a kids movie from the 90s. Yeah, it feels a lot like that. It feels like a Nickelodeon movie.
Yeah. Like the first movie that comes to mind for some reason is like Small Soldiers.
Yeah.
I guess more recently would be like Super 8 would be an example of that. I guess maybe sort of E.T. too, which like Super 8 is.
Yeah, I was going to say like a lot of Spielberg.
E.T. And I like that, you know. I think that's
Stranger Things for that.
Goonies. The kids have to like band together because they're the only ones that will believe one another.
Man, after we named all these movies, I'm real embarrassed that Small Soldiers was the first thing that came to my mind.
Don't be.
So one last thing I wanted to talk about, and this is it for me, is the end of the film when the Blob has Steve McQueen and his girl that he's, I don't know if they're dating or he's trying to date her, and her little brother, and then also like the owners of the diner, they're all trapped in the basement, and the building catches fire and the Blob's like coming in on him. There's that scene where they kind of realize like, okay, they're gonna die, like that's it, there's really no way out. And like Steve McQueen picks up her younger brother and kind of holds him and talks to him. That scene got to me on like an emotional level that I wasn't expecting. I don't know if I'm just a softie, but like when it happened and Steve McQueen picked him up and we were talking to him, I was just like, this is surprisingly moving.
I don't know that I got as much from it as you did, Justin, but yeah, I remember thinking, oh, they all think they're going to die, and they've come to terms with it. So yeah, that is a standout scene for me.
Well, I think that goes back to Steve McQueen is awesome, right? Like,
right.
You watch him, like everything he does in this movie automatically seems like 30% less stupid than everyone else, just because like he seems smart, he's well spoken, he's like the best actor in the movie, right? So I think just anytime he's doing anything and acting, you're just there for it.
Yeah, he's working real hard in this movie too. There's a
he's
moment
making himself
I remember,
a star.
Yeah, but like he runs up to the group and he's like looking around, and all the other actors are just kind of standing there. But like he's looking around and he's with intent and interest, and your eye goes directly to him because he's doing stuff and he believes in the stuff that he's doing, you know?
Yeah. No, this was
really good.
Yeah, I agree. This was even before his TV show, Wanted, Dead or Alive. So he was brand new. And just to show you kind of what we're talking about, I was watching this film a few days ago, and my girlfriend was at work, and she came home, and she had never seen this, and I don't think that she's aware of any Steve McQueen movies she's seen, right? But as soon as she saw him, she said two things. First was, that guy looks really old to be a teenager, which we've already talked about. And then second, look at those eyes. You know, so Steve McQueen is just a watchable dude, you know? Like, there is a reason he made it big, right? Man, I want to watch Bullet, and I want to watch Nevada Smith, and I just want to go through like a Steve McQueen binge again.
Yeah, same. My girlfriend had the same reaction. She watched the whole film with me. Right away, she's like, who is this guy? And I told her Steve McQueen, who she'd heard of before, but she was like, oh, she's like, he's just handsome and good looking. And like, she commented on his eyes as well. And I always told her the same thing you just said. I was like, hey, if you want to watch some more Steve McQueen movies, he is in a ton of movies that I really like and haven't seen in a while and would be down to watch anytime. So please let me know.
Yeah. And it'd be a good thing to catch up on all of Steve McQueen's movies before the new one, Widows, comes out, right?
Yes. He's
yeah. Because that's the same
directing
person.
films.
Yeah.
Steve McQueen from The Blob is alive and well and turned into a director from England.
Yay.
You know, 60 years do a lot to people, you know?
Yeah. People change.
All right. Yeah. So that's it for me on The Blob. Does anybody have anything else?
I do not. It was fun. I think I'm probably good for a few more years, but if I ever have to watch this movie again, it will not be a chore.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. It's a fun film. If I have to watch again, I'm not going to be upset. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen any like B sci-fi creature feature 50s drive-in type movies, this is a good place to start.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you guys. You know, it's fun. It's easy to watch, like you said earlier, because it's super short. It's like 120, an hour and 20 minutes. And yeah, I don't know when I'll watch it again unless someone else just wants to. But I have a feeling I might just like throw the DVD in my PlayStation and let the menu play, because the menu for the Criterion version is just the song over and over again.
I'll have to see if it's on Spotify.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
How is this not in every Halloween mix?
That is a good question, actually.
The Monster Mash seems like a real bad song in comparison.
Like, it's just like the Monster Mash. Yeah, you play them that song and they're just going to have a blast.
Yeah, I did read that the song actually reached like number 33 on the Billboard charts when it came out.
Yeah, I saw that.
So it's not just us that loves the song. It's a whole lot of people from 1958.
Yeah, makes sense. People from 1958 had good taste, it seems.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so on that note, are you guys ready to move on to our next Criterion poll, to choose our next Criterion film?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this month for our next Criterion, we decided to go with the theme blind spots. So each one of us is going to choose a film that we have not seen and throw that up for the poll. So, and I guess to clarify, not all three of us have not seen all the films. It's just like Mike is choosing a film that he hasn't seen, but Chris and I might have seen it.
That's correct. I didn't even take into account whether or not they had seen the film that I chose.
Nor did I.
Don't know, don't care.
Okay, Chris, do you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. My pick, it's a shameful pick. It's kind of my shame list. It's on the shame list that I haven't seen. I picked The Tree of Life because I haven't seen it. I've talked to Justin about seeing it, and I need to see it, and this is the perfect excuse to make me see it. Mm-hmm. So I picked The Tree of Life, and I hope it wins because I really want to watch this film.
Yeah,
I'll probably watch it anyways. But yeah, so that's my choice, and that's why I picked it. I knew Justin would be excited about it, especially if he gets to watch it again.
Yeah, I just watched it when the new version came out, and I want to watch it again already, so I really hope it wins. I'm not even going to choose one now.
Just to ensure the victory.
Yeah. Kidding. I will pick one. And I can go next if you guys want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm also picking one that I have wanted to watch forever. It's one of those major films that I feel as a film fan or whatever, I should have seen it by now. And I've actually never seen any films by this director, which is also, a thorn in my side. But the movie is Tokyo Story by Yasuhiro Otsu.
What? I just spit water out. You haven't seen that?
No.
Yeah. It's
wonderful.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I hear. And it seems like...
Oh, I cried when I watched it.
Yeah. I think I would love it. It seems like so
Ozu.
Perfectly up my alley. And I've never seen any of his films. And this is like his major one.
You've never seen...
You know what Roger Ebert said? And I'm going to paraphrase this quote, so don't email me and tell me I'm wrong. But he says, anyone who ever gets into films eventually gets to Ozu.
That doesn't apply to me yet, but I hope that it will when this film wins.
It will once you get to him.
That's true.
But yeah, I actually kind of hope Tokyo Story wins because I have not seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah. Well, awesome. So, Mike, what are you picking?
All right. So, I have seen a few films from this director, but never any of his earlier films. And so I am thinking about choosing Brief Encounter from 1945, directed by David Lean.
Okay.
I've always heard this regarded as one of the best movies ever made, especially for British cinema. I remember one time I even fired this movie up on Netflix when it was on Instant Watch once, and for some reason I just never watched it. And I've always meant to go back to it because it just felt like a big shame.
Yeah, this is one back when I was first subscribed to like Netflix and when Criterion was first on Hulu. I looked at it forever, thought about watching it a number of times, and I actually haven't seen it either. So this would be a great choice.
Yeah, I actually, when choosing our blind spots just now, I literally went through the list in spine order, and the first movie that I got to that I hadn't seen that has been regarded as like a classic, like Tokyo Story would have been if I hadn't seen that one,
Mm-hmm.
And this was the first one I got to that I was like, oh yeah, this is the biggest shame on the list for me so far.
I think we're all definitely kind of in this realm of I should have seen this by now with all of our choices, it feels like.
Yeah. I've seen you guys' choices.
Well, I mean, for each of us individually.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
And so on that note, is that it for this episode?
I do believe so.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Me neither. Well, thank you guys for listening. And of course, thanks Jake Wagner Russell for doing our intro and outro music. You can hear more of his music at soundcloud.com/bopscotch.
See you guys next time.
All right, see you later.
Bye-bye.